back week on that first interview. I'm going to try and do it every week. Since I've done daily lives for 2.5 years, I'm sure I can keep that up for once a week. And I'm thrilled today. I have Tina BQ Tran with me. Now, here's a little secret. She has the BQ in there because Tran would be like Smith in Canada. But if she gets that BQ in there, she won't be just a Smith. Welcome, Tina. I'm so happy that you joined with me today. Can you just introduce yourself briefly?
Thank you for allowing me to join you today, Sandra. It's so lovely to be part of your um, project, your entrepreneurial coaching journey. Um, Hi, everyone. As Sandra mentioned, I am Tina BQ Tran. So, as Sandra mentioned, the BQ is to differentiate the other zillion of Tina Tran out there. Because if you ever search for me on Google and you put Tina, the plus sign BQ plus Tran, I can guarantee you my name will come up and it will be me, no other Tina Tran. That's the little trick I actually want to share with all of you out there who have common names and last name.
And I want to say,
Insert
Tina,
something.
I want to say, Tina, that I entitled this Culture Sync, Synchronizing Cultures. And I think this is a beautiful demonstration already of how we get some little laughs in with all
Hmm.
our different cultures, the diversity that adds so much to living. And
Yeah.
you don't get offended if I go and say something that's out of line. You'll just say, no, we don't do that in Vietnam. But you know that I don't know. And when you come up with something that, no, you don't want to say that in Canada, you'll say, I didn't know. And we have our laugh over it. And that is really what I'm wanting to celebrate today, too, in bringing
Mhm.
cultures together, having people celebrate
Mhm.
the beautiful diversity. So I'm going
Mhm.
to let you get back to introducing yourself because I'm in Belleville, Ontario, but you're also in Ontario.
I'm in Ontario, just about 200 kilometers away from you, south of you. I am in the Waterloo region. And just going back to my name, the BQ is actually my Vietnamese name, the initials of my Vietnamese name.
Ah,
And it's actually is a flower. There's a whole story about my name. It's very unique in Vietnamese. And when I was a child, I didn't like it because it's too unique. But later, when I realized how unique it is, I start loving it.
yeah.
Anyhow, beside the fun in my name, I am a energy wellness catalyst, aka an energy healer, and I use energy psychology to help people heal from anxiety, chronic worries, uh, overwhelm, stress, trauma, grief, just to name a few things. One of the biggest things that energy psychology can help people deal with is overcoming limiting beliefs when, especially when they don't even realize that they have it.
Now that's interesting. I know we're going to just kind of flow. That's what this is about, is just going with the flow. But this business of limiting beliefs,
Mm?
uh, people would say, what's your limiting? I had no idea what they were talking about. We get into lingo.
Yeah.
And the limiting belief for me, as it turns out, was that I'm not good enough. I'm just that little farm kid. And all the city kids were really city smart. They were street smart. They knew, and I didn't. And therefore, I was too small and too little. Turns out that was a limiting belief, one of the
Hmm.
many, because we all have a lot of them. We have a limiting belief around money and profession and success, and we can go on and on and on. So
Yeah.
this whole idea of a limiting belief, I think, is worthwhile just taking a little bit look at it because you're not going to just wipe out everybody's limiting beliefs all at once.
That would make the world full of powerful people, and that's too dangerous. It's true. You are right that limiting beliefs is a lingo, and sometimes it doesn't convey the right thing. So usually I would follow up with explanation what a limiting belief could be. And just like you nailed it, it's a way of thinking. We think based on what we know. Most of us don't have the ability to see beyond what we know.
Mhm.
And that's why they talk about breaking the ceiling.
About what?
Breaking the ceiling or the bubble
Oh,
that keep
breaking the
yeah,
seal. Now,
yeah.
that's going. We're going to come back in a couple minutes to the fun around accents because that's what I work with as well, which makes it all so beautiful. But breaking the ceiling, breaking the bubble.
Yeah. One of the things that your clients face in terms of limiting belief is that they believe that they don't have the good communication skills that you do, right? So I'm sure that resonates with you and that resonate with some of your clients. And then
Yes.
the thing though, listening to me now, watching me now, you would not have believed that just about 6, 7 years ago, I wouldn't be able to maintain this kind of conversation one on one live as an interview. I had major stuttering issues.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I was very afraid of public speaking. My belief back then was that, oh, I have a big accent. My English is not flowy. I don't project a good image. So I'm not a good candidate for public speaking, for conveying my message, whatever message I want to convey. And so looking at me now, though, you wouldn't believe that I was in that space. So that was my limiting belief that I was not good enough to communicate publicly because of my speech impediment.
It's
Guess what?
amazing. It's
Energy
amazing.
psychology helped me overcome all of that.
And that's another interesting thing too, because absolutely, when once people get around me, they just start to have a laugh with me, and pretty soon they're talking, and all we have to do is pick out, in case of accents, I'm going to catch when you're saying eunuch. Well, a
Mhm.
eunuch here would be somebody who's chopped off,
Ah,
but what you were saying was unique, unique,
right, right.
because if
See,
it's a eunuch,
the
you
little
got
thing.
a bit off.
Oh, and so in my head, somebody who's cut off, the way you put it, is a eunuch.
Yes,
That's how I say it.
yes, but that's what we're hearing because it's going so
Oh,
quickly.
okay, I got you. Okay.
So for unique, you would have to take time to unique.
Mm. Oh my God.
I'm,
Look at
I'm
us.
having I'm having so much fun here. I think you are too. We're just having a good time here. But psychology again is another one of that lingo. We think, oh, a psychologist. Oh, they studied psychology. We live psychology, and we just don't call it that.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're intuitive.
Yeah.
We listen at the different way. We feel the hair go on the back of our
Hmm.
necks if they're in danger, or our guts go
Yeah.
crunching if we're walking on eggshells. That is psychology in action, and where we bring them up out of, whether it's through communication or energy work.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Hmm. So it's on daily basis. It just some of us have decided to specialize, to learn more about it, and to use it to become a specialist about using it to help others. While some of us, you know what, it's not our cup of tea. So we just move on with our lives and do something else. That's all. But I agree with you that psychology is part of our daily lives.
And with that, and I know maybe others don't realize it. They'd say, why would we hire a coach? Why would we even need anybody to help us through any of that? And they don't. But quite frankly, they don't need anybody, because if you struggle along long enough, you'll decide to stay in there, or you'll find your way little bit by little bit. It took me a long time. I was probably 40 years old before I ever thought that a coach was something I could actually allow for, because that to me was for rich people.
Yes, it's the same thing with me.
Yeah. So,
I'm in my 50s, and the very first time I came across a coach, that was when I was in my 40s and mid 40s. And honestly, I didn't have a good opinion about them, because in my head, due to my limiting belief, my narrow view of things, because I was in my bubble, I just thought that somebody who do very little actually, can help other. But I didn't realize that to become a coach, the person has to go through a lot of training and certification, and have to have a certain knowledge and skills
yes,
before they actually can do it. Like a good coach, it's not just like that, not at all. And here's the other thing: investing in the other thing about limiting beliefs is around investing in ourselves.
right.
Those who are against having a coach, which I was one of those until until I start this journey of being a healer, and then I have coach after coach and after coach, when I realized how valuable they were. And so for me to shift that much is also a huge thing, because an entrepreneurial journey, we need somebody who support us, who are there for us, and yet at the same time who are neutral and are expert in lifting us. And that's what a coach is usually is.
Right.
And
And the other thing with the coach, I often don't think about lifting them so much as they have their hand out and we're helping them raise themselves.
yeah,
It's
like
really what's
it's
happening.
a two-way street.
It is.
They lift us, we lift them too, because coaching cannot go one way.
No.
It doesn't work. It does
And I
not
don't
work
know how
like
many coaches I've run into who have said, no, I'm the coach. I can't share my personal life. To me, I do the training and the blending and the coaching all as one. So it's probably more into that healing type of mode of coaching. But if they don't do anything, they just stay over here or move along very slowly. And I finally learned that when I wanted to jump forward so I could get on to the next thing, I had a coach that turned on the lights for me a little faster. And then I would come to the next item. Oh, yeah, okay. And we would work on that and move that forward. So it's a beautiful process. I just wanted to talk a little bit here too, because I can watching the time a little. But what was it like for you? What was your challenge in arriving in a new country? First, where were you from?
Oh Lord, the challenges of a new immigrant. There's were many. Excuse me. The thing though, it has been a while for me. I must admit. I arrived in Canada when I was in my teens, and I'm now over 50. So it's has been over 4 decades now
Right. And
that I'm in Canada.
You'll have to keep your voice up a little bit. But where did you come from?
Okay, long journey. I was born in Vietnam, grew up in Africa, and now live in Canada. How about that?
That's good.
Yeah, I grew up in Africa because my family moved from Vietnam over to Senegal in Africa, where I learned and speak French. And then when we decided to come to Canada, that's when I started learning English in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my immigrant journey. Honestly, way back then, my family had a choice. From Africa, we could either go to France or Canada. And so my parents decide that whichever country finishes the paperwork first, that's where we go. Canada just happened to finish the paperwork first, so here we are in Canada. Since Seriously, if friends have finished the paperwork first, then you and I would not have met.
That's right.
I'm glad that Canada finished the immigration paperwork first. So that's where I come came from, and obviously the challenges of arriving in a new country is the language. Right? I was speaking and I know in French, but I didn't go to Quebec, and so English had to be learned, and that's the cultural barrier because the Vietnamese culture and the Senegalese culture is completely different from the Canadian culture. So that's another the challenge. And the weather was the worst. I came from two warm countries, and I landed in Canada in March. Oh, that was not easy to adjust. All right. So the weather was the first thing, but lo and behold, we adapted really well. And when we first arrived, we and I was still a student and working on my spare time. And in the summer, I worked in a farm, and I have worked in -30 and +35 degrees Celsius. So I can tell you there are type of work that the born and raised in Canada, Canadians don't want to do, the immigrants do. And I have worked in very harsh environment because of the weather. And yeah, but you know what? It's all in the past.
And here you
I did the
are.
hard work and here I am.
Let me
I
see
put
what
myself through school with my hard-earned money, and hey, it's all good.
it is.
Honestly, though, you know what? I'm grateful for this country. Recently, we went up north for 10 days and around the Lake Superior area, Sault Ste. Marie, and oh my God, we have such beautiful sceneries and beautiful beaches. Lake Superior is awesome. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Now, the next thing, because I wanted to kind of work around this celebration that we enjoy with the cultures, we met in Culture Sync, and I believe you were one of the founding members, and then I showed up. But I was welcomed with open arms. And if I have it correct, you're from Vietnam, Africa, Canada, immigrant. We had Teresa, who was from Jamaica,
Jamaica.
and Renya and Tanya are both of a Ukrainian background, I do believe. And then me, the old vanilla Canadian with the British background. My great 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 grandpa came from England.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
it has proven to be a lovely group, and being able to come together, you called it Culture Sync
Mhm.
to celebrate.
Because it's the synchronicity of cultures, right? We all have different backgrounds, and yet here we are merging together, working together, supporting each other, and each of us is doing something completely different, and yet we manage to support each other, cheer each other on, and partially it's thank. I want to mention PARO. So PARO is a small organization located up north in Ontario, Thunder Bay, and it's to help women entrepreneurs. And that's how it's through PARO that our little Culture Sync group came together, and they help other women, entrepreneurial women, to form groups of 5 to 7, and our group just happened to be 5, right? and
Right.
and ever since we formed 2 years ago, it has been a wonderful group to be together. We meet only once a month, sharing our challenges, our successes, asking for help wherever we need. And now, oh, we are also working on a book project together. We are aiming to publish it by the end of this year, right? So isn't that wonderful?
Oh no, you're making it public.
Hey, you know what? We had to put it out there in order to give ourselves the courage to keep working on it.
And
Because
it was interesting in our meeting last night, because we get together once a month. But it was interesting how we all do the same thing and all do a different thing all at once, because our approach to each area of our work, even though we recognize each other's work, our own personal approach and where we bring it in keeps us separated. So we could use each other's material to a point and then make it ours. It's a beautiful thing. I'm just keeping our eye on the time, but
Mhm.
uh, why do you find it important to speak up with confidence? Because you didn't have a voice at one time and now you've found it.
Mhm. We each have a specialty, whether we have realized of that specialty or not. Like, for example, myself, my specialty is to help people healed from emotional burden using energy psychology. Your specialty is help people speak with confidence, right? The thing though, in order to utilize our skills, we have to be in a position to share our expertise with people.
Mm.
And confidence attracts others. And unless we can confidently speak about our expertise, sharing what we know, and sharing how people can improve their lives using whatever tool we provide them, then people won't be able to take advantage of our expertise. So it's extremely important to be able to speak with confidence, because I believe no matter what we do, that's one of the very first steps that we have to have in order to create a positive impact onto other people's lives.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe the confidence feeds the healing, feeds the clarity, feeds connection, feeds everything. And
Mhm.
that's why I come from mine. And you know that energy work with psychology works and so on. We go through, and Tanya, a speech pathologist, and we could go on and on. But I do want to wind it up today. And thank you so much, Tina, for coming on and having this conversation. I love the easy way we're able to just have a conversation versus, well, what's this question? What's your answer here? I like playing and dancing, and that's what we've been doing. Thank you so much for playing and dancing with me. And just before we go, maybe your last words can be just to explain a workshop that you've got coming up.
All right. So, as mentioned earlier, I help people deal with emotional issues. And one of the issues that many of us have is fears, stress, and anxieties, especially around money or financial matters. So I'm holding a bi-weekly series of workshops, and the next one is coming up this Sunday at 11 a.m. And we are going to use energy psychology to reduce financial anxiety. Because here's the thing, when our head is filled with worries or anxiety, it has no capacity to think of creative way to resolve the money issues that we have. So when we reduce that anxiety, we make space for us, for our brain to think of creative solutions to solve our money issues. So that's why, unless there's a magic one where we can make the financial anxiety disappear, then we just need to work on reducing it ourselves so that we gain back brain space.
And Tina,
I'm
you can put that information in the comments stream, and we'll look forward to it.
Yeah,
Okay, so
and I will also share the link later in
in the
because
comments.
yeah, I'm not sure where to put the comment as
Well,
of
once
now.
it's published, you can go back in and put it in the comments
Yeah,
because
I will do that.
I'm not that smart yet. but we're getting there. This is interview number 2. Tina BQ Tran, thank you so much for being here with me. It's Coach Sandra, Compassionate Queen of Straight Talk. You can speak up and find your voice. You can do it with confidence, ease, and flow. Accents, no accents, whatever you need, I can get you there faster. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you, Sandra.